All right, so now we're going to reinstall the front and rear baffle supports on a Lopi Revere. Also works for a Lopi Endeavor, Lopi 1750i Republic, and an Avalon 1750i Republic. So, or Spokane rather, I think is what they're called. So, all right, so what we got here is our rear baffle support. We've already removed these, so now we are putting them back in. This is the T support. Got this flat portion here, which sits on steel ledges on either side of the unit. The fire brick, the front fire brick, sit along this ledge. The rear fire brick sit along this ledge. Okay, so you can see we have our rear fire brick up in here already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this baffle support up through the front. I kind of tilt it like this, and I lift it straight up. There's a little bit of a gap between the front of the unit here and the front air tube, so I'm lifting it through that gap. And then once I get it up above that air tube, I tilt it so that way it's sitting flat again. So it's in this position, and then I just drop it flat. Okay, so then we're going to take both hands on each side and slide it back until it starts sitting on this little steel ledge back here. So we just barely start sitting on that and the air tube. Okay, and the front part of it's pushed up against the fire brick. So what we need to do now is we need to lift the fire brick and then slide the support underneath the fire brick. You can do this one side at a time, or if you can get both hands up in there and lift both fire brick up, you can just slide it under both of those, which is what I am going to do. Fire brick up, slide that support underneath them, make sure that the fire brick is flat. Everything is pushed back as far as it will go. Okay. Yep. Wiggle it side to side, push it all the way back. Make sure it's seated properly. There we go. Next, we have our front fire brick, which I'm going to feed up between those air tubes and sit on top of our rear baffle support in the rear fire brick. I'm also going to push these bricks all the way to the side of the unit, so that way they're not getting in each other's way. And then we've got our front baffle support, or the S baffle support. You've got this 90-degree angle. That angle sits on a corresponding steel ledge on either side of the unit. And then the fire brick sits right on top of this lip and goes against this front part of the angle iron. This S curve kind of portion, the air tube, the front air tube here, sits right in this area right here. So, same thing with the rear baffle. I'm going to tip it up like this. We're going to lift it straight up between the front of the stove and that front air tube. And then I'm just going to roll it down until it sits on those ledges. Roll it over the top of the air tube. Make sure it's kind of centered side to side. And then I'm going to reach up to the baffle support air tube. I'm going to pull this front tube brick forward and get them seating between the rear and the front baffle supports. Get them down on there, and then I'm going to push them side to side until they are centered. They kind of drop down in between the two baffle supports, and then I'm going to push those back as far as I can. And that kind of helps lock them in place. There we go. That's replacing, or rather reinstalling, your front and rear baffle supports on a Lopi Revere, Endeavor, and 1750i Republic, along with the Avalon 1750i Spokane.